It's a new week, which means it is time for a new event in the UFC. This time it is Aljamain Sterling versus Yusuf Zalal, and boy, it's in the Apex, which means the card is fucking shit, and I'm just thrilled to be here predicting it again. You know, another one. But at least it's not as bad as last weekend, where they literally had to find literal regional bums to, like, stack the card up with. But, yeah. Let's just get straight into the video, because I don't want to be here. I just don't want to be here. So, first fight of the night, it is Talita Alencar versus Julia Pilastri. And you just know, when a card starts off with this, you just know you're in for a fucking bag of worms. You just know you're in for a treat. You pay £35 a month for this? For fucking this? Like, if you're in the UK, obviously, if you're in the UK, I'm from the UK, and I 100% pay for the cards. £35 for this? Plus a 20 for the pay-per-view cards? A month? That's a joke? For fucking this? What? Fuck it, who am I going with here? Fucking Talita has the grappling, and I don't know who Julia Pilastri is. I know. Go with the one I know, who is actually, like, semi-decent. I don't know. I don't know about the other one. So I'm going to go with Talita Alencar. She's just built like a dyke. So, yeah, I'm going to go with that one. You know, the one that looks more like a male is the one I'm going to go with. So, yeah, that is kind of like the trick with these women's fights. So, yeah, we're going to move on. Right, on to the next fight, which is Mayra Brunner Silva versus Michelle Montagu. And I'm just going to make this simple. I'm just going to go with Michelle, because Michelle looks more like a man. Yeah, that's it. But, like, I'm talking about physique here, right? Because, like, on the Tapology picture, I haven't looked at the UFC picture, her shoulders look like fucking, what's her name? Kamala Harris. Fucking Kayla Harrison. That's the one. Fucking hell. How have I got them two mixed up? What the fuck? But, yeah, it looks like that. So, on the Tapology picture, I'm being deceived. Oh, it's true. So, yeah, that's my prediction for this fight. Michelle Michelle Mong. There we go. Yeah, let's go to the next fight. Now on to Jackson McVeigh versus Cedric Damas. Obviously, we know how this works now. Cedric Damas gets transported to the Apex in a prison bus because he beat his wife and children. Actually, I don't know about the children part, but I know he beat his wife. There's like 50 million fucking pictures of him and mugshots and stuff. Yeah. But, I am going to go with Cedric Damas, which I fucking hate going with, but Cedric Damas has all the skills to get this done. Jackson McVeigh is shit. He is terrible. He's never won a fight in the UFC. And it's just like, Cedric Damas is a veteran, you know, I'm not going to call him a fucking veteran, but, like, he's had many fights in the UFC. He beat people like Cody Brundage, right? And Cody Brundage is not terrible. He is alright. He beat people like Cody Brundage, right? I don't know if that fight was a robbery. I'm going to assume it was, but, like, let's just say for the argument's sake, Cody Brundage lost that fight, right? I can't remember it at all. Cedric Damas is going to win because I saw him actually use his wrestling, and Jackson McVeigh cannot use. Like, he cannot defend a takedown. I know either can Cedric Damas, but, like, I just feel like Cedric Damas will just be retarded enough to go for a takedown first, and if he doesn't, then, yeah. It's the most least inconsistent fight ever, man. We've literally got fucking middleweight Kevin Holland versus some shit guy of the regionals who's never won a fight in the UFC. How am I supposed to predict this? This is shit. But, yeah, I'm just going to go with Cedric Damas and get beat over and done with it. On to the next fight, which is Max Griffin versus Victor Valenzuela. This is a pretty weird matchup. It was literally made like a week ago, I think, right? We've got a 40-year-old prospect, a 40-year-old veteran, and then we've got a literal, I wouldn't even call it a prospect, but like he's getting loads of finishes. He's 32, so can you really call him a prospect? But I guess we can call him a newcomer to the UFC. Loads of knockouts, just the basic shit, always getting a knockout. But I don't think he's going to knock out Max Griffin, and we don't know how well he is after the second round. I think Max Griffin is going to grind out the second round, and pull out some sort of decision, maybe even a finish in the third round. Like, I just think if you're losing to Michael Oliveira on the Contender Series, who we don't know his level yet, we need to make that clear. We do not know his level yet because he's not fought since. And until I see that, I don't know. So, yeah. I'm going to have to go with Max Griffin just because of the experience. We don't know if this guy's on a UFC high level. And as well, we just don't know this guy's level at all. On to the next fight, which is Jafiel Filio versus Cody Durden. And, boy, this is a short notice fight for Cody Durden. And he's not going to win. He's just not going to win. In his last couple of fights, he's been getting out-grappled. I don't see how that's going to change against a better grappler, you know what I mean? Like, he's legitimately fought, like, nowhere near the grappler of Filio, and I just don't think that Filio is going to break to Cody Durden's pressure and volume. I just don't think that's going to happen. I do just think Jafiel Filio is going to get the submission here. I do just think that, but guess big respect to Cody Durden for actually taking the fight and not just like, nah, I don't want it. You know what I mean? But, yeah. Let's move on. On to the next fight, which is Rafael Vieira versus Eric McConaughey. Now, I don't know who to go with this one either. This is another 50-50 because they're both inconsistent, but I'm going to take some recency events into account. Vieira was last knocked out, I think, at 3-2-2. Makhachev versus JDM, one of the worst cards ever because of the main event result. But it was actually like a really good card though, like on a reel. Vieira was knocked out by Bo Nickel, a brutal head kick, and he's never been knocked out in his career ever. He never has been knocked out in his career ever. And he is known for taking damage. That's what he's known for. But on the same side, right, McConaughey can't grapple, right? Vieira, well, his Tapology picture is literally him in a jiu-jitsu gi. So I'm assuming he can grapple, and he can grapple well because he's Brazilian, right? So now we're in two fucking things, right? Because if Vieira comes back 100%, I do think he beats McConaughey because McConaughey is shit. But McConaughey does have power, which also means he could chin Vieira again if he gets hesitant because he got knocked out a fight ago. You know, and I could just see him getting hit with shots and maybe second guessing himself. So I might go with Eric McConaughey. When I saw this fight get announced, I looked on the thing before making the video. I was gonna go with Vieira, but now that I'm thinking about it, Eric McConaughey might be but it's Eric McConaughey. Do I kind of really? I'm going with Eric McConaughey. Fuck it. I want to get a few underdog picks on here. Yeah. I'm assuming he's an underdog because he's trash, but like still, I'll choose McConaughey. Right, main card opener. Marcus Buchecha versus Ryan Spann. Now, I do believe that this is a heavyweight bout, which means, is Ryan Spann finally moved up to heavyweight? Uh, his last fight was at heavyweight. His fight before that was at heavyweight. His fight before that was at light heavyweight. So I'm assuming he moved up to heavyweight for the Waldo because it's a Costa fight, right? That makes sense. I will be going with Ryan Spann because I am not impressed by Marcus Buchecha at all. He was like getting rocked and partially quitting to what's his name? The fucking black guy. I can never say his name. Fucking Nezechiku. Is that right? I've probably said it wrong, but you know who I'm on about. He's been in the UFC for fucking ages. But that guy. And that guy right fucking there, he is actually good. He's like a mid-level heavyweight. And he is alright for a heavyweight because he moved up. As well, just a lighter skill gap, by the way. The lighter man skill, I guess you can call it. Look what Nzechiku did. Now Ryan Spann could do the same. And are we forgetting that Ryan Spann beat Dominic Reyes, who beat John Jones, and quote unquote, who is the GOAT? I'm just saying. I'm joking. Reyes is shit. And John Jones is not as good as we thought. But I'm just saying that much. But I will be going Ryan Spann. I think he's going to sprawl the takedowns or defend the takedowns on the fence. I don't think Marcus Buchecha seems that strong. Like, Nzechiku was doing a good job of fighting all that shit off. And Nzechiku is a bit thingy. I do think Nzechiku had like a really good game plan of keeping his stance low against his wrestler. And he was just like, well, I'm just going to batter him on the feet. Well, poke shot him on the feet. And he did that really, really well. So I can't really argue with it. Fair fucks. Fair play. But yeah, I will be going with Ryan Spann. On to the next fight, which is Montel Jackson versus Raoni Barcelos. Now, man, this is a tough matchup to predict. It really is. And this is one of the good fights I was talking about at the beginning of the video. This is a really close fight, and I don't know who to choose here. Because Montel Jackson is fucking huge. Not in terms of size, I mean in terms of reach. His reach, I've got it here somewhere, hang on. What is his reach? I fucking have it written down. His reach is 67, no it's not. It is 75.5. That is massive for 135. People are talking about the age of Raoni Barcelos here, right? But like, Montel Jackson's also kind of old. And I am worried for Raoni Barcelos because he's shown a very, very chinny chin. A lack of durability to shots. And, you know, he hits hard, Montel Jackson, and to get the fight to the ground, you gotta close the distance. The more I'm talking about it, the more I'm convincing myself of Montel Jackson, so I'm probably going to go with Montel Jackson. But we've had time before where Montel Jackson has just given up takedowns and coasted and, low output and stuff, so I don't know. And it's like, sometimes, like, the athletic ability of fighters, it's sometimes better just to choose the grappler because they can just take away the length, the this, that, and the other. But that's a huge distance. But, like, yes or no, does distance even matter that much? Not anymore, anyway. Like, it used to, but, if you... I'm gonna go with Montel Jackson, but I will be true with Raoni Barcelos because I do kind of like his story thing that's going on. He got knocked out a few times and now he's back. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Montel Jackson, and if Montel Jackson wins, we can call Raoni Barcelos a bum that Umar beat. And if the other way around, it actually looks good for Umar, and we can't have that. We like Raoni Barcelos, but like, you lost to Umar, so we can't have that. Right, on to the next fight, which is Davy Grant versus Luna Martinetti. I feel like I'm missing out a name there. I don't think I've spelt his full name out, but I'm going with Davy Grant. I am going with Davy Grant because on the Contender Series, Martinetti was able to take some really big shots, but like, Dangerous Davy Grant has dangerous in his name for a fucking reason. And he has some great hands, um, some great kickboxing, you know, and I could really just see, like, he was fighting mainly in the clinch, Martinetti was, and it's just kind of like, yeah, and I know he was able to take shots off the guy who fought last week, right? And he has a lot of knockouts, right? And I know you could technically argue that that guy probably hits harder than David Grant, right? But I just like the experience of these older guys in the UFC who have had more fights in the UFC. They don't have to worry about whatever the pressure, whatever, and whatever else that you have to worry about when you're up there. Davy Grant doesn't have to worry about that because he's been there all that time. And although Martinetti is a grappler, and we know Davy Grant struggles with grapplers, or ish, he trains in Vegas, he trains with Marab, he trains with Aljo, so that's surely gonna get better. And I know he lost to Charles Jourdain, but Charles Jourdain, since moving down to bantamweight, he is something to be reconciled with. You know what I mean? So I don't think that is. I don't think. I don't think that's a bad loss. And then like you can talk about the rest of his losses are just mainly just shitty decisions that should have went his way, but for whatever reason, the judges decided not to give it to Davy Grant. But I am going with Davy Grant to win. I do think he'll win. Yeah, I'm going to go with Davy Grant. On to the next fight, which is Rafa Garcia versus Alexander Hernandez. Have I got that one right? Hang on. Alexander Hernandez. I keep wanting to say Anthony Hernandez, and when I was doing research, I kept on putting Anthony Hernandez in the search bar, even though it's Alexander Hernandez. But this one's a really good one. Honestly, Rafa Garcia has some really good counter punches. You can see him in the Jared Gordon fight with his hands up. And sometimes he would get caught. He just would get caught now and then. But like you could see him building in that fight, ducking his head to one side, then countering with the straight shot. But my only concern is that Alexander Hernandez moves a lot. He doesn't stay in one spot. Meanwhile, most opponents that Rafa Garcia has fought, they have pretty basic movement. Forwards, backwards, left, right. While Alexander Hernandez is moving all the time. And he's setting up his shots. He's always thinking about that one shot. You could see this very fucking well in the Carlos Diego Ferreira fight. He was just moving around, and then you had the commentary team thinking that he was being hesitant. I don't think he was being hesitant. I think he was locked in, trying to find this one shot, and he did find that one shot. But the issue with that is that Rafa Garcia doesn't give you time to build like that. He will just fucking put the pressure on you as he always does, and then sort of builds in front of you and then does the combos and stuff. And Rafa Garcia, he is a finisher, I believe. He finished Jared Gordon with elbows. He has ground and pound. No, he's not a finisher. He's just has a lot of decisions, but he does have power. And that elbow was something else. I thought it was a finisher. He's not a finisher. Anthony Hernandez is the finisher, though, here. And I don't want to go against my original pick because I was going to go with Rafa Garcia. But now I'm starting to think Alexander Hernandez might have a really good shot. Because I'm just looking at the guys that he's knocked out, and he's knocked out Jared Gordon, but Jared Gordon's always been a bit chinny, and he's lost to Grant Dawson. That's not too bad, all things considered. He's improved a lot, he's beat Austin Hubbard, who's shit, Kurt Hulleberg, who's also kind of shit, but then Chase Hooper and Carlos Diego Ferreira. And he's knocking them out. He isn't just beating them, he's knocking them out. I'm gonna go with Alexander Hernandez. Is he the underdog or what the fuck do you call it? Favorite, the underdog? What do you call it? Right? He's the slight favourite, which now makes me want to go with Rafa Garcia. But Rafa Garcia has more ways to win too. You know, he could mix in the grappling. You know, he could do all this, that, and the other. Man, this is such a difficult fight. Now, when I said this fight card was shit, it is kind of shit. But you know what? This fight and the other fight, which was the other fight? Montel Jackson, Howney Barcelos are really good fights, whereas the main event is a really good fight. Davy Grant is always a good watch, but like his opponent, we just don't know too much about him yet, so kind of not a good fight. Norma Dumont, entertaining jiggle fix, but we'll get into that in a second. So maybe not as trash as I originally thought, but man, I'm going to go with Alexander Hernandez. I think he's going to be fucking circling around. Everyone's going to think he's hesitant, but he's not actually hesitant. He's going to crash that cross down the centre, which, by the way, Jared Gordon was landing throughout that fight multiple times. And I just think if Alexander Hernandez does hit that shot, he will put Rafa Garcia's light out. But I am worried. This is a 50-50, and I don't like 50-50s. You know, all women fights are 50-50s. Men's fights shouldn't be 50-50s, or very rarely 50-50s. But I'm going to go with Alexander Hernandez. But Rafa Garcia is such a good prospect. I do want to say that. He is such a good guy coming up. He's a guy to keep your eyes on. So, yeah. Now on to the co-main event. Norma Dumont versus Jocelyn Edwards. Now, this is trash for a main event, a co-main event. But you know what? Gonna know something? This is gonna be entertaining for different reasons. That's all I'm gonna say. I will be going with Norma Dumont. Norma Dumont has been on the verge of a title shot for fucking donkeys. She fights once a year, which is always kind of shit. It just is shit. But I'll be honest, I don't know too much about Norma Dumont. I'm not really paying attention to the fighting at all. Never. Not really. But yeah, I'm just going to go with Norma Dumont. I think she's pretty good. She got some good striking. She's capable on the ground. Don't know too much about Jocelyn Edwards, but I know she's decent for a women's fighter too. So is Norma Dumont. So yeah, I'll just make this one quick and then we can get on the main event. So I will be going with Norma Dumont via decision. Right, on to the main event. It is Aljamain Sterling versus Yusuf Zalal. Now, I know everyone's just going to be like, well, Aljamain Sterling beat Movsar Evloev, who probably is the next champion in line after Volkanovski, because as we already know from the previous fight, that Evloev gets absolutely destroyed by Volkanovski. Volkanovski would do unspeakable things to Evloev. Bro, my stutter comes out so prominent when I'm trying to be like goofy. But talking about goofy, Aljamain Sterling has some of the most goofiest striking like in the UFC, but like because it's so goofy and funky, that's where he gets his name from, I'm assuming. They look past his striking, and it's like it's not just his grappling you're worrying about. His striking is just as good. He does the step-ins, he does all this type of stuff, steps in while switching his stance, while using overhands. Volkanovski does that quite a bit too, but we're talking about Zalal. Fuck's sake, Aljamain Sterling. They're such similar names. And I can so see as Zalal backing out with his hands extended, usually with his fingers extended too. Aljamain Sterling is going to duck under that, take him down, and from that is Aljo's world. I just think there is two different worlds here. And I know people are like, oh, Zalal's wrestling has improved. But can they show me a fight where that's improved? I know the knee against Jack Shaw was pretty good, but like that's defensive. But grappling itself, let's say no knee lands or anything, right? We're talking about the grappling itself. What he submitted Josh Emmett, the bum, the one with the big overhand and then step in big overhand, and that's it. And he hasn't evolved through the fucking 10 years he's been in the UFC, and fuck all else. What, he submitted that guy, the same guy who also got submitted by Yair Rodriguez, by the way. Just thought I'd mention it. Yeah, that guy. Nah, you're not. I'm not, like, it has improved, and I will say that, but like barely, and we don't know who against. We're against fucking Josh Emmett. Really, we're ready to say, oh, what he beat? He beats what? He beats Aljamain Sterling, a former champion at 135, the most stacked division currently. What, he beats it because he submitted what? Josh Emmett? How does that make sense? It don't make sense to me. And as well as that, we got to take this into context, right? Because if we're gonna call Islam Makhachev and all these other Dagestani wrestlers some of the best wrestlers in the UFC because their name ends in an OV, even though, like, this, that, and the other. If it was anyone else, say if they had like a normal name, like James Jonathan, something normal, you know what I mean? That's not even normal, but still, something normal. They'd just be seen as a good grappler, but because they have an OV at the end of the name and they're Russian, for some reason we've just got this, like, assumption that they're just automatically elite. Like, people were calling Islam Makhachev elite before he even beat, like, Bobby Green. Like, can we chill? Can we chill, please? But, Aljamain Sterling is legitimately, like, one of the best fighters in the UFC, and I don't think he gets the praise he gets. Is he boring as fuck? Yes. Could he have, like, pushed for a finish against fucking, what's his name, Brian Ortega? Yes. Was Brian Ortega drained, and he still managed to make it fucking a boring, dull, fucking, probably a split decision. No, I'm joking. It wasn't a split decision. It was a clear Aljo fight, but still. It was some rounds were close, but like, what the fuck? Like, I don't understand people's mindset going into this. Like, I could see Zalal on the outside maybe times a knee, but like, or a right cross down the center, same as Sean O'Malley. But really, all this hype because he submitted Josh Emmett? Really? Like, if you're gonna be like, oh, well, his grappling's improved, all this, that, and the other, you could at least be like, his defense improved, or his footwork against grapplers has improved, like where his knees down the center, his right cross down the center, something like that, or ducking left, so like he could get the high kick up there, something like that. Not because, oh, he's got good takedowns, good takedown defense, and he can grapple now. Like, what? Really? Against Aljamain Sterling, one of the best grapplers in the UFC, pound for pound, and is he not in the pound for pound? No. Let's pause the video a sec. Is he in the pound for pound rankings? Because that's going to tell me all I need to know. Because I do think the UFC do hate him. Pound for pound rankings: Islam, Ilya, Chimaev, Alexander Volkanovski, Alex Pereira, Peter Yan, Tom Aspinall, Merab Dvalishvili, Alexander Pantoja, Joshua Van, Charles Oliveira, Drix Duplessis, Jack de la Maddalena, Armin Zarukian, Magomed Ankalaev, and Carlos Olberg. So there is no Aljamain Sterling, even though he is literally the embodiment of a pound-for-pound fighter. Champion in one division, top 5 contender in another division. Doesn't make no sense to me. Almost beat Evloev, you know what I mean? If you just had more damaging moments. But that is another thing. Evloev is one of the best grapplers in the UFC as well. And Aljamain Sterling, yes or no, was he out-grappling Evloev? Now, we're not talking about damage and who won, right? Because Evloev won. He had the more damaging shots. But in terms of just a grappling match, if them two were to do another grappling match, let's say like some BJJ shitty thing that the UFC host every now and then, Aljamain Sterling would batter him in like the BJJ terms. And you're now telling me that because Zalal submitted Josh Emmett, that's not going to be the case, and his grappling's improved so much. Like, no, let's shut the fuck up. As well, he trains Merab, so he's probably on EPO as well, let's be real. Man, I don't know what's going on, but that's going to be the end of the video. And I've just found out, literally before I started recording this last segment for the main event, right, and I am choosing Aljamain Sterling, and I don't know if that was obvious, right, that I've been unsuspended off Twitter. I know. I don't even know why I was suspended in the first place, but I'm gonna take this not for granted. I'm gonna stop trolling the Turks because they just like mass report you. Like, I swear to God, they are some of the weirdest people. And if you know what they post on Twitter, you know what I mean. But let's not get into that. Let's not get into that because it's really fucking disgusting what they post on there. But yeah, I'm back on Twitter, so you can follow me on there. As well, we're still trying to make it to 100 subscribers by the end of 2026, and I am starting to get a little bit scared because I don't think it's going to happen now, because it's basically, what, 7 months away, and like we're nowhere close. So if you could help me out with that, would be really fucking appreciated. And yeah, like the video too, because that helps in the what do you call it? When the video gets pumped out to a lot more people, that helps too. And yeah, that's the video.